Today's episode is brought to you by Obligatory Set Dragon.
Play me.
Hi, I'm Russell D. Jones.
I'm Bannis.
Kevin Davies.
And we're here with D6 Mafia talking about the spoilers from Journey into Nyx.
Ooh, I love spoiler season.
Yes.
Yep.
And this is our first round of spoilers, so here we go.
Yep, straight from the mothership. Here we go. We're going to start off with Extinguish All Hope.
Whoa.
It's a very epic sounding card. It's a black sorcery. It costs 4 and 2 black. And it destroys all non-enchantment creatures. Just, that's it. Boom.
Done.
I mean, it's pretty exciting in that well, it's not that exciting. But it has the potential to be a one-sided board wipe.
Yeah.
Which is,
Not bad.
It's nothing to shrug your
If
shoulders
you
at.
plan around it.
Exactly, and it is unfortunately costed accordingly, which is sort of where it falls apart. It's not going to be a very exciting rare to open, limited pool or otherwise.
I
I'm
know
afraid.
if I go buy some packs on opening day and I open up this card, I'm like,
If that's your rare.
then I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Devotion to Black a little bit, but not likely. I mean, maybe.
That deck has so many better things to play than this.
It does for 6 mana.
Yeah.
But EDH.
It'll
probably see some play.
Yes, especially you see people running gods now as generals and stuff. More enchantments entering play because of such an enchantment-heavy metagame right now. It'll have a place in EDH, like so many things.
And it could be very detrimental in limited play as well.
Yeah.
Like, late game, you're going
Sure.
with some bad stuff,
Yeah.
boom.
Limited
Yeah,
bomb.
if you go, and I think generally limited decks are going to be fairly enchantment creature heavy, especially in this block. It seems to have even more than the last block, enchantment creature wise.
So far, yeah.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see as we get more of this set and we see what the limited environment's going to look like.
Yeah, well, I should point out that the art is super cool.
Super
on
cool.
This
Yes,
particular
good point. I almost forgot to mention. This is probably one of my favorite arts in the spoiled cards so far, just because we've got a couple of these where there's several gods appearing on one card and it just adds this epic scale to them.
I also love that most of those cards are like, you're a little guy and the view is up. So like you're just seeing like these towering gods like just doing something.
Well, yeah, and again, it's that idea that's like, it's almost like they're panoramic and you're seeing them in the night sky looming, lording over you. The artists have done a really good job with that stuff.
It's great.
Yep.
Our next card is a Whitewater Naiads, which if you're unfamiliar with a naiad is, it's like a dryad, but then you give it a bottle of Aquafina water and it turns into a naiad.
So it's like
I think you have to at least dump the water.
Dump the water on the dryad.
It's like
basically
a moist dryad.
It's a moist dryad.
It's basically a wet dryad. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So so a naiad is like a wet dryad, slightly moist, perhaps damp.
We've seen some naiads. There was a cycle of nymphs. There's been a cycle of nymphs actually in both the other blocks. So I assume this is probably the start of another cycle of nymphs.
That's a good assumption.
And yeah, the water ones are naiads, and the white ones are. Dang it, I can't remember the white ones, so I'm failing. But the green ones are definitely dryads, and
whole bunch. What makes Whitewater Naiads remarkable? Not remarkable. We remark about
Interesting,
it. Interesting.
perhaps.
Is that it has one of the new abilities of the set, which is Constellation. I don't like it.
Well, it's unnecessary.
I don't like any abilities that you can just take away the name of the ability and it does the same thing.
Yes, we're on the same page there. That's always sort of a pet peeve of mine. So let's read the card.
Yeah.
It's a blue creature. It costs 3 and 2 blue, 4/4. So 5 for a 4/4 enchantment creature, nymph, sexy.
Sexy name.
And then it has Constellation. Whenever Whitewater Naiads or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, target creature can't be blocked this turn. So
enchantments at the field. Your creatures, you can make a creature unblocked.
Yeah, Constellation is basically just an enchantment comes into play. Effect. It's, you lop Constellation off the front of that effect,
does the same
or
thing.
any other Constellation effect, and it's identical.
Yeah.
I guess I know it's mostly just so that people can categorize these cards in their minds a little easier and keep track of them that way. But it just feels unnecessary.
Like the ability is cool, but I don't know. The keyword isn't that exciting.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah, exactly. And That said, I like the card.
The card itself is fun.
I think
At uncommon?
Yeah, I think it has a potential to be pretty bomby and limited if it gets in the right deck with enough enchantments to trigger some free hits on your opponent.
Yeah, you throw some bestow creatures on some dudes, they make it unblockable. You're hitting for pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like the bright side up there. You drop a big bestow creature on something you've got, and now it's unblockable and it's swinging. So,
well, I mean, this guy's a 4/4 body on himself. You throw a little, even like a 1/1 Eidolon on this guy, he's swinging 5 unblockable next turn. You know, like that's
for at least one turn. It's not bad. I mean, for 5, that's about par.
Yeah, for blue, that's reasonably costed. There's another card, Flood Tide Serpent, which even if the bounce an enchantment in order for it to attack. So while it's not amazing, that's at least
a little combo action.
At least a way to keep it going.
Yeah, anything that lets you recur some of those enchantments
which is there's not much.
Yeah, with all
in this block.
With all the heroic things and all of the constellation things are apparently going to be pretty big in this set.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that trigger off of enchantments, so anything to make them more recurable is just
right. And hopefully we'll see more than one constellation per color.
I hope so. It's a new set mechanic. I would expect at least a couple per color, maybe some multicolored ones.
Right.
We can hope anyway. Although Constellation annoys us, so maybe we don't hope. Who can say?
I like the ability. I just don't like the name.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that.
So next we have Gnarled Scarhide. It is a enchantment creature Minotaur for 1 black, and it is a 2/1. It is a bestow creature, bestows for 3 and 1 black. And its ability is Gnarled Scarhide cannot block, and when it enchants a creature, that enchanted creature can also not block, but it gains +2/+1.
So it's your standard bestow creature.
Yeah.
It's a pretty standard bestow creature. As I was telling you guys earlier, I really was just underwhelmed with this card when I first saw it. I was like, oh crap, another really overcosted, kind of crappy bestow creature. And then I got to thinking about sort of what bestow is supposed to do as a mechanic, and I think this card actually executes it really well because it's a 2/1 for 1. It's a 1-costed Minotaur, which is another little special thing it does.
Yes.
But and that makes it relevant early game. You know, it's a nice aggressive 2 power, 1 toughness for 1 minute. Like that's pretty great in black. You see it quite a bit now, but it's relevant early game, and then what would normally be a dead card, a 1-drop 2/1 late game, suddenly has at least a little bit of significance with your bestow. You know, if you draw off this guy at turn 6 or 7, normally you'd just be like, well, I guess I'll chump block with it or something.
Right.
But now bestow actually lets you beef up one of your guys. It makes it a little bit more relevant. So in that respect, I think this card does perfectly what bestow as a mechanic is designed to do.
I agree.
For creatures like this anyway.
I mean, it's not amazing, but it can fit into a number of decks really easily. Good early game, decent late game. You could even throw it on an opponent's creature so they can't block.
Yeah, and that's one I hadn't thought of too. Is you could get those extra few points of damage through with that if you need to.
Some extra utility.
Yeah, pretty standard, really good card. Next, we have the Cyclops of Eternal Fury, which is another epically sounding name.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's 4 colorless and 2 red for a 5/3, and your creatures you control have haste. It also should be a note that it is a Cyclops.
So it dies to eye gouge.
So it dies to eye gouge.
Wow, it dies to 3 toughness.
It dies to a lot of things.
It dies to more things than just eye gouge. That's a good point.
It's a rough card, man. It's really expensive. It's we've talked about this card a little bit. Haste is not an ability you want. Not late game. You want an early game.
6-drop.
It's not as good.
This guy's cost 6 for a 5/3. In this game, you're gonna be wanting to spend that 6 mana on something way better.
Yeah. So Stormbreath Dragon. Something's
even at uncommon, he's
bombing
really just not very interesting.
Well, and particularly haste is not an ability, like you said, you don't want that late game. That's not really a thing.
I mean, he's going to come out swinging, but 5/3 for 6.
He's probably just going to get chumped blocked by something with a lot less of a mana investment than him. And
3/1 Eidolon something, whatever.
That could be a thing.
So,
it could be a thing that could block that.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, he's just unfortunate.
Yeah, not going to be picked highly for anything.
No.
Up next, we have Ajani's Presence.
Ooh.
It's a white instant. It costs 1 white. And it has another one of our new abilities this set, our new keywords. It says, Ajani's presence costs 2 and a white more to cast for each target beyond the first. And what it does is any number of target creatures gains +1/+1 and indestructible until end of turn.
So the name of the keyword is strive.
Strive, yes. I'm still up in the air whether it matters what
but
the keyword's name is.
It may not,
really.
as you may have just pointed out.
Because if you weren't tired of hearing us complain about Constellation,
now we have strive.
Yeah, this is the only
strive for more.
This is the only thing with Strive we have so far. So we can't say maybe it is all just going to be things can target more things, and so it is kind of specific in what it does. I get the feeling it's going to basically just be multi-kicker with specific effects. So, maybe it'll let you pay more multiple times to do any number of things rather than just additional targets when we see it on more things.
Maybe.
And then you could just lop Strive right off the front and just give that.
Just have it that be.
Just have it read as it reads, yeah.
That said, that's, again, pet peeve. Anyway, I really like this card.
Yeah.
It's cool. Ajani's cool, although, that's one more bit of promotional material that we see Ajani on. Actual card now, but he's officially on the plane.
Yeah, we can at least, we can no longer speculate. He's there. He's here.
As if the promo image for Journey into Nyx, where he's sitting there with Elspeth and Xenagos, wasn't official.
That could have been another cat for
albino Leona
with that thing on sort of thing.
Totally. Anyway, I still find myself sort of hoping that Wizards just punks everyone and doesn't make an Ajani Planeswalker in this set. Just because those amusing thoughts.
Who needs another white Planeswalker?
Yes, yeah. You don't need a white planes. That's going to be 3 in standard. 4 if you is there one in freaking
Corset?
the core set right now?
I
don't think there is, but that's still 3 mono white planeswalkers in standard
blocks,
within 2 blocks.
Maybe white green.
Well, we can hope. That's the only one without a planeswalker right now, right?
I think so.
The only color combo. Wow.
What I like about this card is it's 1 mana, 1 white, but then you can pay a bunch of more mana into it. So you draw it early game, it's good, trigger some heroic stuff maybe, but then late game you can pump a lot of mana into it and it can do a lot more things.
Totally, yeah. That and bestow, I feel like just the mechanics in this set do a pretty good job of staying relevant throughout the game, which is cool. I really like that because, I think that's a conscious effort by the game designers to try and eliminate dead draws, basically, and make every draw still mean something.
Because dead draws aren't fun.
No, and it's magic, so it still is going to happen. But I appreciate the effort on their part to mitigate it.
Yeah. So next up, we have the Eidolon of Blossoms.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
It is an enchantment creature spirit. It is rare. It costs 2 green, 2 colorless for a 2/2 with the ability Constellation.
Yay!
And the Constellation ability is whenever Eidolon of Blossoms or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So
that's
cool.
It's an enchantress.
It is.
Yeah.
It's an interesting enchantress.
It does. It's a bit more than an enchantress, but
but it draws itself a card.
Yes.
Where enchantress does not.
That's true. It does replace itself right away, so
that's not bad. 2/2, not great, especially in green.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have gotten a little more toughness on that.
But that said, 4 mana, if you're playing green, may have a little bit of ramp. She's coming out quick, and you're drawing cards quicker. So it's like
for sure.
And
if somebody
play for him,
if somebody wants to waste a kill spell on it, then let him do it.
He already replaced himself, so that's it's positive card advantage for you.
Yeah, I've got some Hydras coming up next. So if you've dumped your Doom Blades early on this guy, then
sure.
Awesome.
I mean, he's card draw, so he's threatening enough that he could draw some of that removal, which is nice. That said, he's still very burnable too. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm not really excited about this guy.
Me neither. He's rare, which.
I'm going to respectfully disagree.
Well, screw you, Russ. I'm upset.
I think this guy could see a lot more play than any of the other rares we've seen so far. I think he has the most potential. I think card draw Especially in green, can't be underestimated.
He's a actually fairly reliable draw engine in a color that doesn't really get draw engines very much, especially reliable ones.
Yeah. I mean, green gets a little bit, but...
A little bit, but it's usually sort of watered down and stuff. And he's pretty much straight card draw if you have the enchantments to fuel him. So
and he's kind of reminiscent of one of my favorite cards, Wall of Blossoms. So.
Oh yeah, okay, I get you.
The blossoms.
Blossom, yeah. It's
That's where it comes
it's
from.
a
Yeah,
bit of a giveaway.
Also, we've had much like the nymphs, we've had a cycle of Eidolons every block. I wonder if maybe we're going to get a cycle of rare Eidolons this block.
No,
Be interesting to see. They'll probably all have Constellation if that's the
yeah.
case. If that's the case. So.
Very good.
I think that's a good observation.
Yeah.
Next, we have the Satyr Hoplite for all you Satyr fans. He's a 1/1 for 1 red mana. He is a Satyr soldier creature, and he has Heroic. Heroic's back. Surprise. No.
It's a block ability.
Yeah.
It's allowed to be back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we like it.
Whenever you cast a spell that targets Satyr Hoplite, put a 1/1 counter on Satyr Hoplite. So pretty standard Heroic.
Yes.
That's like the baseline Heroic effect.
He's kind of a baseline Heroic creature. It's cool to see this in red, because most of the time the 1/1 counters are only in white and green.
Actually, red does a little more tricky things.
I don't really care if it was the Crowan Hoplite.
Yeah.
I think the other one drop Heroic red.
Yeah, that's true. He that was the one that made 1/1
Yeah.
counts, right? Yeah.
But like the white ones are usually the one that gets the +1/+1 counters, but the
Yeah.
red ones do stuff like the Chrono Conscriptor that like takes things or takes
damage.
They usually just do
damage or
effects that
whatever.
you would see on red spells for the most part.
Exactly.
That said, guy's pretty baseline. My favorite thing about him is his flavor, because his flavor text says Xenagos has become what he once despised, a tyrant and an oppressor. This is a satyr that's turned against Xenagos, which I think is a really cool story point, and it makes this guy actually kind of an interesting character.
Sure. And give some stuff with Xenagos. What's happening with him too?
Yeah, he's ascended to godhood, and now he's being a dickbag about it.
Yeah.
So,
Indeed.
That's true.
even his satyrs are like, "You're not.
Screw
you used to
you.
be cool, man.
We want to revel.
You used to stand for freedom and stuff, dude.
Now you're oppressing us.
Yeah.
Down with Nixon.
I'm gonna.
Yeah. Anyway, very nice baseline.
Yeah.
Up next, we have an artifact, the Hall of Triumph. It is a legendary artifact.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Triumph.
Yes. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Triumph, pay 3 to play it. And as it enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures you control of the chosen color get +1/+1.
That's pretty sweet.
It's a
Solid.
colorless,
Nice.
glorious anthem that only hits one color that you control, I guess, if you're playing multicolor.
But in
And it's your creature, so it's not going to punish you by
Yes.
I'm playing somebody sharing a color.
Yeah, this is not like, thank God, because if it was not if it was symmetrical, it would just be a
Right.
terrible legendary rare.
and legendary.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I mean, I like to see legendary artifacts. I think it's kind of unfortunate. This one is. I could see it. I think it would be fine if it wasn't, but
I want it to be not legendary, so I can play multiple, so I can play multicolored decks.
But I can see Devotion to Blue loving this.
Yeah,
Master of
they've got
Waves
all their
and-
Master of Waves tokens. They'll love the.
Any of I mean, all their stuff tends to be smaller for its cost, and it'll just
Or
help everything out.
white weenies love it.
Yeah, I would say When you get out of the block, though, like White Weenie is one of the formats that would like this the most. However, White Weenie has access to better non-legendary anthems in
There
their
you go.
color.
True.
So,
True.
yeah. That said, it's nice because it gives an anthem to colors that wouldn't necessarily have one. I know some red rushdown decks definitely might like that too. So, although that'll screw them with their curve, so they probably won't play it anyway.
But a cool card.
Yeah,
Decent.
still fun. Yeah.
So next we have the Dakra Mystic. This is a blue creature for 1 blue. It is a 1/1 merfolk wizard, and it is uncommon. And it has kind of an interesting ability. You pay 1 blue and tap it. Each player reveals the top card of his or her library. You may put the revealed cards into their owner's graveyards. If you don't, each player draws a card.
That's interesting.
Yeah, what a crazy, interesting ability. So you basically, standard or EDH, any of that. You got your group of players. You pop it off. Everybody takes a look, and then you're kind of like, what do
I don't like that thing.
like? Yeah, you've got that board wipe that I don't want to deal with. everyone's got a ditch into the graveyard, or
Sure,
like,
draw your card.
Yeah, this one's gonna have some fun times in EDH for sure. It's just, it's symmetrical card draw that lets you decide whether they actually get the cards you're about to give them or not. So,
or if you've got the best thing on the top of your deck,
yeah,
thank you, I'll take that. And you can have, you know, your 8th land.
Yeah, that's a very cool, interesting ability, especially on an uncommon. Like,
right? Yeah.
This is one of those ones, like, it could have been rare just because it does such a unique thing. And they probably were just full of rare slots, so they bumped this down to uncommon. But at the same time, I would have been a little upset if this was rare. Yeah. So it's a pleasant surprise instead of like an annoying, like, halfway point.
Well, and the nice thing for me is it's cheap. It's a 1/1 for 1 that its ability costs 1 blue mana and a tap. Yeah. So you can start doing it right out the gate.
You know? Totally.
Even in uncommon, they could have made it like 1 in blue or blue or something.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm very excited about this next card.
You are? Well,
really?
Me too.
This card. So
of course, you guys would be excited about this card.
Probably for different reasons.
Different reasons.
Hit it.
It's called Sigiled Starfish.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a 1. We colorless 1 blue mana for a 0/3.
So 2 cost total.
2 cost total. It taps, scry 1, but the most important thing is creature type starfish.
Oh my god, it was the same actually.
Oh!
I thought you were going to be about the scribe, but it's about it being a starfish.
Yes, and I know, let's see, there's one other starfish that I know.
Spiny starfish.
Yes,
Spiny starfish.
that's
One of
right.
my
I was trying to remember
cards
its name.
Ever
'cause
out
I
of
know-
alliances.
Yes, you love spiny starfish.
I do love spiny
and now
starfish.
you've met its sigiled brother.
So happy.
Yeah.
So great. I like this card because, like Russ mentioned, I like scry. I like to kind of be able to deck manipulate a little bit. Also, I'm a big Phynax fan, so a low-cost, high-defense creature is always kind of driving with me.
Oh yeah,
So like,
things.
so it's like if you can't be Phynaxing away cards, you can at least be scrying. So that's good for me.
So next up we have a Squelching leeches, which is kind of hard to say.
How now, brown? How?
But it's a black creature leech. It costs 2 and 2 black. It's a XX power toughness creature. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of swamps you control. I've never seen that before. It's kind of like a nightmare, right?
It's like a cheaper.
That's a
they
really...
lose. Nightmare loses its wings and it costs 2 less.
Right. Oh man, I forgot how freaking expensive Nightmare was.
Pow pow.
But that's kind of an older swamp black ability though.
Oh yeah, for real. Yeah.
So that's kind of a callback a little bit.
I would say black tends to get one of these types of abilities almost every set. I wouldn't even call it a callback. I'd almost say like.
Yeah, there was like an enchantment that or like something.
There was one. There was
equipment, a whip or something.
Oh yeah, and there was freaking Night Howler last set that was a bestow creature that did the exact same thing, but was one cheaper than this guy and had a bestow on it. Yeah. It was also rare. But,
so I just say, devotion to black. There you go. You're gonna be running all swamps anyway, pretty much. And
if you really,
he's double black to help with devotion.
Now here's my question.
Creature.
Here's my question to you fellows: have we seen another leech before?
Yes.
There's leeches.
Just leeches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have.
They're white.
There's a freaking.
I remember.
There's a couple of There's oddly some mono white leeches. There's a couple. There's like an alabaster something or other that I have that's terrible. It's like a 1/3 for 1 that makes things cost more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, given that he's a leech, I'm surprised. He doesn't remove poison counters or anything.
Something. Good point.
Right.
Yeah.
Get all the poison counters. Yeah.
So next up we have the hero's bane. Ah, yes, the hero's bane. No, I'm not gonna do that anymore.
Don't do that.
He or she is a 5 casting cost, 3 and 2 green Hydra.
Do hydras have genders?
I assume each head is its own individual gender.
Maybe they have to define their own identity.
I think so.
Okay. Anyway.
Wow, that's
How does
really deep.
That even.
I'm gonna guess it has a gender and it only has one gender.
Only one
Otherwise, every time it
grows
grows a new head, it's gonna get really confused.
That's true. Anyway,
but let's talk about the abilities on the card.
This particular Hydra. He enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it, like he's a 0/0, but then he gets +1/+1 counters on it, like most Hydras do.
Right.
But then you can pay 2 and 2 green to put X +1/+1 counters on him, Hero's Bane, where X is equal to its power.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you mention he costs 5, or was I just not paying attention?
I did mention that.
I just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
So that's cool because it's a Hydra that gets bigger.
I've never seen a Hydra that does. Yeah, like most Hydras, he tends to grow himself.
Yeah, gets bigger one way or the
So,
other.
I mean,
a little bit different than the other ones.
Yeah, they all seem to have their own sort of flavor of I'm a Hydra and I get bigger, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, if he was 4, he would be incredibly awesome.
Yes.
At 5, I'm not as excited, but he's still not bad.
Yeah,
He doesn't have trample.
like
which,
most Hydras,
unfortunately.
he wants trample so
so
badly.
But he can, I mean, there's a lot of potential to get really big really quick. I mean, even bigger than many of the other Hydras.
Yeah, especially like I know, heard people talk about like Xenagos and buff spells are pretty fun to throw on him, and then you get a permanent extra little bonus to your.
Yeah.
So he gets very big very quickly, and that's cool. He's also, I believe, the game day promo or the friggin' pre-release promo for the set. So,
but he is also rare. Like so.
Yeah.
Do we want him in our rare slot when game day comes? Like.
I would take him.
He couldn't he couldn't be uncommon.
That's true. You couldn't.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he could be mythic.
I don't want that.
He could have been mythic.
He probably would have cost 1 less and been that thing you wish
But he
that he
would have
was.
been mythic.
But
But you also
yeah.
be taking up your mythic slot.
He's going to be. I think he's going to bust some chops, and he's great on defense too. I mean, obviously you can see they have the mana open, but you know if they have enough, you know somebody tries to swing on you, you buff him, then you pump him.
Totally. Yeah, there's all kinds of.
I mean, so
There's fun things.
he can be dangerous.
Particularly in
yeah.
like in a green-red scenario when you can just pump.
We have tons of mana.
Titan Strength. Titan Strength loves this guy.
Yeah, and yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, anything like
anything
that.
that gives him trample,
Giant growth,
or
any of that
Any of
stuff.
that kind of stuff. It's great.
Yeah, so moving on.
Good
Up
luck with
next-
this one.
Oh, I'm so glad that this is my card. So next up we have the Ravenous
Leucrocota.
Leucrocota. The Ravenous Leucrocota. That was fun.
Nah, I would just like to point out it was actually my card, but I didn't want to have to pronounce it.
Damn it.
So thank you for taking it.
Damn it.
Please
All
continue.
right, well,
What is the Ravenous Leucrocota do?
Ravenous Leucrocota is a common beast, a common with an uncommon name. Anyway, it costs 4. It's 3 and a green. It's a 2/4 with vigilance and monstrosity 3 for 7. So very expensive
green
monstrosity
and
3 turns into a 5/7 when you monstrosity it.
So this is cool because it shows that monstrosity is going to have a presence in this last set. Because there's
Yeah.
no monstrosity, they opted for a tribute last set.
That's true.
Instead-
Yeah,
instead of
So
monstrosity.
monstrosity makes a return as a monster mechanic,
Yeah.
which is good to see.
But now go with me on this, guys, because I'm pretty sure that they wanted this guy in Return to Ravnica block as a Simic card because he looks like he wants Evolve.
Because he's kind of a mutant.
He's kind of a weird mutant-looking guy with a low power, with an offset power toughness. I just think he would look cool as some sort of Simic creation.
I'm not going to go with you on that, but I do definitely see it. Like, yeah, he's got the weird stilted Simic things and stuff, but I feel like
I feel like he's super standardly costed.
yeah,
You know, a 2/4 with vigilance for 4. Sometimes see it at 3, usually in white. But then they'll just throw on that monstrosity. So if he's around late game and you have the 7 mana, yeah, you can pop him off. For a common, I think he's pretty decent.
yeah, he's definitely a very baseline monstrosity guy. I don't really have much else to say about him.
Yeah, cool. Very playable and limited.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
valuable.
Cool. Next up, we have the Doomwake Giant. This is another constellation creature. He's an
that's the
enchantment
Doomwake.
creature, giant, and he is 4/6, and he is rare. So it says, whenever Doomwake Giant or another enchantment creature enters the battlefield under your control, constellation, creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until the end of turn.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You kind of have to pow, play 2 or more to actually get some good mileage out of it. But because it's all your opponent's creatures,
depends. I mean,
I think that's pretty solid.
yeah, that's any of these -1/-1. They do a pretty good job of hosing a weenie deck, even just by themselves. They
Yeah,
can-
even if you just do it once.
Yeah. I think he's actually pretty well costed for the body that you get and that effect.
5 for a 4/6 in black.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
And I mean, his ability's not terrible.
No. I'm not super excited that he's rare.
Yeah, I mean,
For that.
I guess actually I could see him at uncommon. He'd cost more.
Because his ability, I think, is right on par with some of the other abilities. I guess the Eidolon was also rare. So
but those naiads were not.
naiads were
not rare.
Were uncommon.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I feel like he might have been right on the fence, and they decided to bump him up to rare.
He might have been. It's always interesting which ones they decide get to keep the rare slot, which ones get bumped down.
And I'm not. I mean, I'm not sure about his casting cost because at it's only one black, so I don't really see him making a big splash in devotion.
No,
because of that.
I feel like that's a conscious choice on that casting.
And I don't know where else I would play him.
Yeah,
I can't see him in any particular constructed decks fitting in really well. He's anti-token.
He's like
sideboard.
He would be like sideboard tech but then I feel like he's just not reliable enough to be sideboard tech. Mm-hmm. So I just don't think he's going to be played.
And also by turn 5, like how many things with 1 toughness are going to be around for him to be able to just come out and
they've already got their Hall of Triumph out.
That's true.
It's been out.
It's been out for a while,
And their spear.
That's what I'm saying. You'll have to play him and play something else, or play 2 enchantments, just to try and get any decent mileage.
Yeah, and that's where I come to he's just not reliable enough. Because in order for him to make a big splash, you need a couple of enchantments to throw on him, at him, around him.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, that said,
but he's okay.
Yeah, if I open this guy in limited, I'm not going to be that upset.
Not at all.
Probably
definitely. Yeah, I'd probably take him first pack. Yeah. Depending on what my uncommons were, because there's a couple of other good ones there.
Yeah, right.
Anywho.
But the next up is the Spawn of Thraxes. It's a 7 casting cost dragon for 5 and 2 red. Mm-hmm. It flies because it's a dragon. And when Spawn of Thraxes enters the battlefield, it deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of mountains you control.
Obligatory big dragon for set. I like him. He's sort of not...
He's not super exciting because here's my big dragon that costs a lot. Now you get hurt a lot. Now I have a big dragon.
I
kind of think he's junk.
He is because all of these obligatory set dragons, unless they're like Thundermaw Hellkite, just invariably end up being junk because they're compared to Thundermaw Hellkite.
Well, but
Stormbreath is good.
Stormbreath is also really good.
That's true.
Yes, I mean everything
because he compares to Thundermaw Hellkite.
I totally agree. I agree with that.
I think we had Stormbreath and Theros. We had another one and the last one.
Yes, that other one that didn't match up well to Thundermaw Hellkite.
Yeah. And then this one, I think this is the least remarkable of the 3 big red dragons.
It's like they've gotten less remarkable with each set.
Yeah. Then I'll say let me break this guy down real quick.
Please.
So he's 7 mana. For a 5/5 flyer.
You should.
Which at 7 mana, I just think you want something bigger or nastier than that. Yes, he's going to come in and do damage to a creature or player equal to mountains, but if you're playing, what mono red deck are you playing where you're regularly getting to 7 mana, where you haven't killed them with all of your fast, early, hasty...
None that I'm aware of.
Beefy creatures and your lightning bolts and all your direct damage. On top of that, so if you want to actually play him, you're probably playing green-red. Mm-hmm. Well, then you're not playing all mountains, and so he's going to come out and he's going to, maybe do 4 at best. And then you've just paid 7.
You know what? I wasn't excited about him to begin with, and now you've made me less excited about him.
Awesome.
Yes.
Mission accomplished.
Job well done, sir.
Sold. Spawn of Thraxes.
Yes.
Junk.
So next up we have the Scourge of Fleets. It is a Kraken, because we gotta have at least one Kraken in this set, right?
Yes.
You have to unleash the Kraken.
Quest for Ula's Temple.
Yes, we have to keep giving Russ hope for his Quest for Ula's Temple.
Want to keep the dream alive.
Yep. So Scourge of Fleets costs 7, 5 and 2 blue. He's a rare Kraken, and he's 6/6. He says, when Scourge of Fleets enters the battlefield, return each creature your opponents control with a toughness of X or less to their owner's hand, where X is the number of islands you control.
I sense a theme.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of that dragon we just got done ragging on.
That's true.
Right. So probably going to see a big
A big green creature that does something.
7 casting cost.
Yeah.
Monstrosity.
For basic lands of that color. Yeah.
And then a big white.
Yeah. Looking forward to those.
Yeah, that's going to be a rough set of rares.
Rare slots. Yeah.
That being said, I think that the blue one is better costed and just a better card than the dragon.
For sure.
If
Absolutely.
you had to put them side by side.
I'll agree with you, but only because the only reason this is a better card is because it's blue. Whereas, and just that dragon is terrible in red. I can't think of a red deck that would want to run that dragon. But because blue is a color that will normally go later into the game and looks for big, splashy things that they can use to end a game, these game-winning cards, it's just more at home in its color.
Absolutely.
Like if this were just reskinned and made red, and we gave red bounce for some reason, it still probably wouldn't be playable just because it costs so damn much.
I agree that yes, it's better in blue because blue tends to pull out the game, but the ability itself is just better.
It is also.
I mean, at best, the dragon's going to either hurt your opponent a bit, or maybe remove one threat off the board. At least the Kraken.
That's an asymmetrical board sweep if you've got enough islands.
Exactly. So that one is the Kraken could be a game ender, whereas I feel the dragon is just another card.
Could be if your opponent's in reach, but there's better things to
Whereas I feel like the Kraken is a more definite.
At least it is a bomb.
Yeah.
It feels
Yes,
more
it can actually be a bomb late game. Whereas, the dragon is not even really that.
I still, it's still too much probably for Devotion to Blue. It's 7. It's just it makes it really
There's
rough.
Just so many better things to put in that
for
slot.
Constructed, but limited. It might maybe not the first pick.
No, but it wouldn't be
worth picking up if you're playing blue.
Especially if you're in heavy blue, that's not a terrible thing to take.
I mean, it's hard even in limited to draft a monocolored deck. So even then, you're kind of nerfing it.
Yeah,
which also kind of hurts any cycle of these types for limited. Maybe some EDH, and even in all honesty, like in casual. Quest for Ula's Temple deck. I mean, it's a big crack, and then you can,
it comes down for cheating.
Cheating it into play.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and then it's actually if you can cheat it, that's actually
he doesn't require you to play him for him to trigger. So
that's amazing. Well, if you can put it into play for free, that's a good card.
Keep that dream alive.
How often do you say that?
Not often enough.
Yeah.
Shall we then?
Yes.
So next we have the Dawnbringer charioteers. These are 2/4 human soldiers that cost 2 colorless and 2 white. It is rare, and for the price of 4, you get flying, lifelink, and heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Dawnbringer charioteers, put a +1/+1 counter on them. Yeah.
It's solid-ish.
Solid-ish.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive. I think.
I mean, it would be crazy if it costed 3.
Yeah, it would be too bonkers, I think.
Yeah.
3. It's one of those weird situations where like 4 feels not that great, but 3 feels too good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And you just don't know. I don't know what to do with it. Would you make it triple white?
Yeah,
because white devotion's not really a thing.
I mean, could you maybe knock down a toughness peg, a little bit? There's a whole lot of things we can go on all day about what we could do, but I don't know.
Yeah, as it is right now.
Well, I'll tell you what I like. I think it's absolutely a first pick in limited.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I think it is solid there.
That guy will win.
I think it can find a place in especially a soldier themed or human themed deck, particularly EDH. I think it's going to have problems in standard. I don't know where it would really fit.
Yeah.
It's nice because it flies and has lifelink, so it's going to be hard to block, and it's going to be steady life. It's pumpable, so as you're throwing enchantments on it, it already has lifelink. It's only going to get bigger. It's already hard to block, you can just. It's going to be a problem
really,
really hard
for your opponents. They're going to have to kill it. The 4 body on it is going to make it a little bit tougher to kill.
Totally, it's a great target for bestow creatures.
Absolutely, it is.
And this guy will win games in limited. I think that's going to be his biggest claim to fame.
Yep.
I don't. Yeah,
Past
not
that.
a big future in constructed. Maybe a few specialized UDH decks for him.
Also, I like the word charioteer.
Yes.
I think that's a fun
yes.
word.
Indeed. Isn't that lovely?
Okay, so lastly, we save the best for last.
But of course,
We're going to talk about the sigil starfish again. No.
Oh,
We're actually going to talk about
Sigil starfish.
yes.
We're going to talk about
one.
Iroas, the god of victory.
Let's talk about him instead.
Let's talk about him instead of sigil starfish. So he is the red-white god of the set. We're now getting to the enemy colors of the gods.
Yes, all the gods this set are now.
Oh no, opposing colors. So he's a red, a white, and 2 colorless. He is a legendary enchantment creature god, like the gods. He is indestructible. He is 7/4, and he has the normal devotion stuff of like if you have 7 or more of of his colors, color mana symbols.
Same thing that
same
we
as
saw with
every-
the other multicolored gods.
But what makes him different is that when he's on the field, creatures you control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, and prevent all damage that will be dealt to attacking creatures you control. I hate him because I'm going to lose to him a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's solid. I'm surprised because he has 2 passive abilities.
I am surprised
Because
as well.
all of the other multicolored gods we saw in last set had only one passive ability. And I thought it was sort of a trade-off that all the monocolored gods had a passive and an activated ability. Whereas all of the multicolored gods were pretty much just a passive ability and then the normal god stuff.
Did they only have one passive? All of them?
Yeah.
All of them, yeah.
Huh. I thought one of the. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll find out that
So-
I'm completely wrong.
No,
And,
but I can't even remember
everything,
exactly
yeah.
off the top of my head.
So-
But yeah, they're all about passive
So
abilities.
is that because that like they had to have 2 abilities on this guy because either one is not gangbusting enough for a god to have?
The weird thing is, like, I think that the creatures you control can't be blocked by 2 or more creatures would be pretty good on its own.
Right.
Yeah.
The second one would be a little more underwhelming, but I could see it standing on its own too. Together, they're pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting is they're actually, I think they're almost a slightly contradictory.
Do you?
A little bit. Now,
tell me why.
Because I mean, you could easily have. See if I can formulate my thought here. So you're basically giving him. If you had one or the other, both I don't think matter as much. You're making your creatures harder to block because now they have to double block.
Yeah.
Yes, that makes your creatures more likely to die, but now a lot more of your creatures aren't going to be blocked.
Yeah.
So that makes, saving those creatures not as important.
Yeah, I guess.
So my thought: if you have 4 creatures and your opponent has 4 creatures, at best they can only block 2 of yours. Those are going to definitely live because the damage is prevented.
Yeah.
I think
But the other 2 don't need
I
the
think
protection at all.
See, it feels more like double dipping to me. Like,
Yeah, that's more what it is.
Now they're only going to be able to block 2, and your other 2 are still going to be alive to attack again if they block them. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
and-
that's what it is.
and-
Double dipping.
And those extra 2
more
that are unblocked are coming right to their face. So it's like I think it's more about the unblocked creatures more so than the blocking or the blocked creatures with him, because now those unblocked guys are going to be free to be pumped. And
Yeah,
yes,
the better
absolutely.
ability.
That's why I say that the first ability is the better ability.
Yes.
But in context of both abilities together, it does feel sort of like together they do something really kind of nasty.
Yeah, they're kind of different, weird. A weird combo.
It's but good. I really like him. Red and white is one of my favorite color combinations. And I was also really pleasantly surprised to see that Iroas is a centaur.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hadn't really seen any art for him before, and also, it's an interesting little bit of lore that he's a centaur. I had no idea that he was.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know what the implications of that are. It's just cool to me.
Yeah. Well, I just say in general, it's exciting to kind of see that he has some really great and useful abilities. Going to be scary when he comes out. I mean, he's only 4 to put
Only
out
4.
for a 7/4.
And even if he-
indestructible, that's really disgusting.
Yeah, even if he never turns into a creature, just as an enchantment, that is freaking nasty.
And great in white red.
Yeah.
And another thing to be pointed out is it does say prevent all damage that would be dealt to attack. Never mind, that's not a point. Never mind. I need to read the card better.
Prevent, what were you thinking?
I just thought it prevented like lightning bolts.
Lightning bolts.
No, that's not true at all.
Well,
I guess technically,
if
they're
they
attacking,
try and bolt you after you attack with
Yeah.
it, then yes, it would prevent it.
But not
So they should wait till after.
right? It would just be them being
it's
silly.
done attacking.
But yeah, you're technically
But
correct.
yes,
I'm technically correct and
the
incorrect.
best kind of correct.
Yes, but it's exciting because I think hopefully the rest of the opposing color gods will have equally exciting abilities.
Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see if they have two abilities, like if they follow this trend, because it's so different from the other multicolored gods we saw last set.
So
Gotcha.
Anyway,
cool.
That's it. That's the last one for today, for the first day of Journey into Nyx Spoilers.
Cool. This is D6 Mafia. Thanks for watching.
Today's episode is brought to you by Obligatory Set Dragon.
Snarf, snarf, I'm a dragon.